Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you all so much for joining me. Happy holidays to the viewing audience. Before I start this live stream with breaking news and updates, please follow the Queen tonight on NBC at 8 p.m. I am an extra alongside some newfound friends, beautiful new friends, in Dolly Parton's Mountain Magic Christmas, starring Willie Nelson, Jimmy Fallon, Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus, and other actors, actresses, plus extras. I want to thank you all for the wonderful support you've given the Queen and on this network, Everyday Shenanigans. So please tune in to Mountain Magic Christmas on NBC tonight at 8 p.m. I am an extra in this film. Thank you all so very much for your support. God bless all of you. I want to bring you some information before I start my commentary pertaining to the Idaho 4. This was a disturbing story I came across today, and I want to read you a little bit of that information. Thank you for joining me. WSAV.com is the source. This is coming out of Georgia. Investigators have arrested 5 people in connection to the false imprisonment and kidnapping of a 20-year-old woman in Georgia. Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Investigators responded to a home on the 2200 block of Nelly Drive on Tuesday, November 29th, just before 10:30 p.m. after receiving a complaint about a victim of false imprisonment during investigation. The following suspects were arrested: 32-year-old Shauna Sue Powell, 19-year-old Dawson Alexander Weston, 24-year-old DeMichael Rashawn Dawson, 29-year-old Angelica Denise Figueroa, and 18-year-old Savannah Marie Piazzi. So we're talking about 3 women and 2 men. Very sick. The complainant told investigators that he had seen the victim, a black female, locked in a dog cage inside Powell's home. Let me see which one is Powell. Powell will be the 32-year-old Shauna Powell, so I'm assuming this is the white female. Once again, the complainant told investigators that he had seen the victim, a black female, locked in a dog cage inside Powell's home while he was there to retrieve some of his property. She was naked and beaten severely and asked him for help. When the complainant confronted Powell about the woman in the cage, Powell told him, "That is my whore. She stole a bunch of stuff from me, so she is going to be my sex slave, and I'm going to pimp her out until she pays it off." The complainant told investigators that he had overheard someone inside the home state that multiple people were en route to have their way with her, which he stated basically meant to rape her, but he was unsure as to exactly when they might arrive. He knew 2 people inside the home were armed, and that when he initially arrived, one of the men pointed a gun at him due to not knowing who he was. He implicated Weston as being at the home and always carrying a gun. The complainant initially called the police, but was fearful of giving his name, fearing retaliation from Powell, but stated that deputies needed to get inside the home because he feared for the victim's safety. Investigators later encountered Weston at Sprint gas station on Peach Orchard Road in Hezbollah, where the complainant was being interviewed. Weston was positively identified by the complainant and was seen with a woman later identified as Figueroa. The complainant said he believed Figueroa to be the woman who stripped the victim's clothes off. Weston, Figueroa, and a third person in Figueroa's car, believed to be Piazzi, were detained while investigators went to Powell's home to investigate and determine their involvement. Investigators surrounded the Nelly Drive home and called out to anyone inside the home to step out with their hands up. Nobody responded. Investigators cleared a second mobile home on the property as abandoned. Deputies on the perimeter of the main home noticed movement inside. More attempts were made to instruct those inside to come out with their hands up. Investigators even attempted to contact Powell by name. A brief time later, Dawson exited the home. He is believed to be one of the suspects who was armed. He told investigators that more people were inside the home. 3 pit bulls inside the residence were released outside to allow deputies to enter. Once inside, deputies observed the cage that the victim was stated to be in, but found it empty. Human and animal feces were in different rooms around the home. Investigators eventually located the victim lying on a bed in front of the left bedroom of the home, injured and emotionally distraught. She was found with multiple injuries to her face. Her left eye was severely swollen and bruised. Investigators believe there was at least one more person inside the home, making multiple unsuccessful attempts to negotiate them out before Powell finally exited the room. Powell asked investigators what was going on and said she had been asleep. She was immediately detained and out of the home. Deputies cleared the rest of the home without incident. South Star EMS responded and transported the victim to an area hospital. Animal Control also responded to take the dogs. All the suspects were transported to the sheriff's office for questioning. They have been charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. Dawson was additionally charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. WSAV is the source. Thank you so much, Wispy. This is a disturbing case out of Georgia where a Black female was held captive inside of a home of a Caucasian woman. I do not know if they were lovers, girlfriends, entanglement, but either way, this girl was pimping her out because she said she stole some things from her, and she also had other people as cohorts to this kidnapping. I will read you them names. This is very disturbing information. 1 minute. Let me find all these crazy nuts. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. 32-year-old Shauna Sue Powell. I believe this is the Caucasian woman. 19-year-old Dawson Alexander Weston. 24-year-old DeMichael Rashawn Dawson, that is the Black male. 29-year-old Angelica Denise Figueroa. And 18-year-old Savannah Marie Piazzi. The 29-year-old Figueroa, she is believed to either be of Black descent and or Hispanic descent from her photograph. They all look crazy, wild, just a hot-ass mess. The Black girl with yellow hair looks like a clown. So you don't know people. I do not know the involvement of these people, how they come to know each other, what's going on, but this is disturbing because to have that girl in a cage is despicable. And what I find interesting is that the guy calls the police, they go to the house, she's now miraculously out of the cage. So perhaps they were afraid he would go say something, which he did. And when they got there, she was, voila, magic, lying on a bed instead of the cage. What is also disturbing is that they had 3 pit bulls in the house and there's boo-boo and human remains in different rooms. What the hell are we talking about? And the fact that this guy went there to retrieve his clothes, I'm questioning your moral compass. What are you doing staying in a house where people are boo-booing in rooms alongside dogs? Is there no plumbing inside of this house? Whose house is it? Is it Miss Powell's house, friend's house, family's house, a vacant house, abandoned house, a house with no power, no water? What are we saying? And why are the dogs using the restroom in the house? Why are humans using the restroom in the house? Because when it says human feces, what I'm trying to figure out, was the girl boo-booing in the cage? And was there also human fecal matter in the other rooms? Because that's what it states in this article. Human and animal feces were in different rooms. What in the hell was going on in this house? I do believe all these people are on drugs because they look jacked up. And when you look at people, their demeanor and their appearance can tell you more about the storyline. This is probably a flop house, trap house, and they were doing God knows what in that house. And God forbid there's some more victims out here that they have kidnapped and tortured and done anything else, praying that no one has been murdered by this group. 5 people, different ages, from 18 to 32. This is disturbing. What is an 18-year-old doing hanging with a 32-year-old woman? And what's her problem? Nasty. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie, 129 Cash App. Super stickers, chats are welcome during this live stream. Happy holidays to everybody. Once again, those coming into this live stream, look for the Queen in Dolly Parton's new movie tonight on NBC, Mountain Magic Christmas, starring Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Jimmy Fallon, Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus, and a host of other cast members. I am an extra in this film alongside some beautiful women that I met along this journey. And I'm glad to have met these ladies. And thank you all for the support of my endeavors as a, I want to say upcoming actress. But anyway, thank you for your support and the support of this network. Let's get started, everybody. The police department out of Moscow, Idaho, has retracted their statements that the 4 victims were targeted individuals. What is the truth? Is this a tactical move because too much is coming out from the father of Kaylee? He once said that he believed that one of the people were targeted that was in that house, one of the children. So is there an indifference between he and the police department? Is this a tactical move from the police department? Are they unsure of a suspect and motive? Was this a random crime? Could this be somebody random? Just saw the house, took an opportunity, knew that there were women in there, and wanted to just make a name for himself. Who is the killer? Someone in the inner circle? Someone that knows of these children? Someone that they met? Somebody that had a crush, infatuation with one of these young ladies? Somebody got a problem with Ethan? What do we say? Thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Lord have mercy. This world is sick. Prayers for the families, the friends, the students, the staff, and the community out there in Moscow, Idaho. Let's start with this police chief backtracking. Idaho police backtrack on key detail in college murder investigations. Fox News is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Mourners gathering for a candlelight vigil last night in memory of the 4 University of Idaho students that were killed near campus.
The vigil comes as authorities are now backtracking on claims that the victims or the resident targeted. Nita Vogel joins us with the breaking details. Hey, Nita.
Well, hey, guys, good morning. You know, this only adds more confusion around this murder mystery. We now have a major reversal from authorities investigating these murders. Law enforcement officials now walking back their initial claim that one or more of the victims was targeted, saying, quote, detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate. Prior statements were a miscommunication. Police have also confirmed they're making progress as they begin receiving results from forensic testing being done at a crime lab, although they're not yet revealing any details about DNA found at the scene. We're also learning the 2 sororities, which 3 of the victims belong to, are on prohibition for health and safety reasons, which refer to violations of risk management, alcohol, or hazing. Now, also yesterday, we heard some very touching tributes from the parents of the slain college students speaking out at a candlelight vigil to remember the victims. Here's the mother of Ethan Chapin.
Let me go back because I wasn't focusing on what was saying.
More confusion around this murder mystery. We now have a major reversal from authorities investigating these murders. Law enforcement officials now walking back their initial claim that one or more of the victims was targeted, saying, quote, detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate. Prior statements were a miscommunication. Police have also confirmed they are making progress as they begin receiving results from forensic testing being done at a crime lab, although they're not yet revealing any details about DNA found at the scene. We're also learning the 2 sororities, which 3 of the victims belong to, are on prohibition for health and safety reasons, which refer to violations of risk management, alcohol, or hazing. Now, also yesterday, we heard some very touching tributes from the parents of the slain college students speaking out at a candlelight vigil to remember the victims. Here's the mother of Ethan Chapin.
Let me go back and say that again about the hazing. Hold on.
Reasons, which refer to violations of risk management, alcohol, or hazing. belong to are on prohibition for health and safety reasons, which refer to violations of. Police have also confirmed they're making progress as they begin receiving results from forensic testing being done at a crime lab, although they're not yet revealing any details about DNA found at the scene. We are also learning the two sororities, which 3 of the victims belong to, are on prohibition for health and safety reasons, which refer to violations of risk management, alcohol, or hazing. Now, also yesterday, we heard some very touching tributes from the parents of the Slaying college students speaking out at a candlelight vigil to remember the victims. Here's the mother of Ethan Chapin.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him. And I want to remind you that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
And Madison Mogan's father also speaking out on how proud he was of his daughter.
Where you're just trying to get to know someone, the first thing I'd say is, well, I have this daughter, and she's, here's a picture of her. She's on the dean's list at college, and she works hard, and she has all these great friends in the sorority, and she's, I just would tell them all about Maddie.
And Kaylee Gonzalez's dad giving a touching tribute to his daughter and her years-long friendship with Madison.
They went to high schools together. Then they started looking at colleges. They came here together. They eventually get into the same apartment together. And in the end, they died together in the same room, in the same bed. It's like some kind of terrible chapter, but there's beauty in it. And we're going to get our justice. We're going to figure this stuff out.
So more than 3 weeks now since the 4 college students were stabbed to death in their beds. Still no suspects, no murder weapon, just a palpable sense of fear and unrest in this small college town. And guys, how brave of it were those parents to speak out and so composed like that was really unbelievable.
They were. They've had a couple of weeks to try to process it, but still you can feel the heart broken throughout that entire
Of course,
town.
I'm sure Thanksgiving was hard for them, and then they're facing Christmas.
Yeah, but this whole investigation's broken, busted. I mean, it sounds like you hope that they were keeping their cards. Thanks, Anita.
Yeah.
You hope.
What happened here? This is a very disturbing storyline because you have 4 people deceased, people making up stuff, rumors, lies, which is expected from people who don't have anything better to do with their time. Now we have a law enforcement agency that's backtracking on their initial assessment that these murders were targeted. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if this is a tactical move to try to play down the rhetoric and issues with the father, speaking about one of them being the target. If indeed one of them is the target, who was it? The father had said he has information that he wasn't speaking on, but see, that's where he messed up when he said that, because people are going to be curious to what he's talking about. Now they've retracted that target comment all of a sudden after the father has given commentary that he knows who the target was. So I'm wondering if this is a tactical move against the father speaking out and talking too much. This is very, very crazy. This case is crazy. The fact that 2 sororities are on prohibition, did this happen before the deaths or after the deaths? Once again, is this a tactical move from the police department due to rhetoric, speaking too quickly about the investigation, not sure about the investigation, or things that Mr. Goncalves has said to the general public? The fact that Mr. Goncalves said that they grew up together and died together, there's some beauty in this. I guess it depends on your perception. It is sad that these girls grew up together, chose a college together, and died together. That is a very interesting Gothic tale. What are the odds? 2 children grow up together in a town, go off to school together in a college, a few years later, die together in the same bed. Gothic is possibly putting it mildly. Very, very sad. No new information on the suspect or motive. Is this a random crime? Thank you for joining me. Let's move on to the next commentary. Were the 4 Idaho students targeted in fatal stabbings? Confusion deepens. Uploaded 3 hours ago. ABC 7 is the source. Thank you for joining me.
University of Idaho students stabbed to death in their off-campus apartment.
When I would meet people, and the first thing I'd say is, well, I have this daughter, and she works hard, and she has all these great friends in the sorority.
The search for a killer now in its 3rd week. Police say they still have no suspect or murder weapon.
Make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
Authorities sifting through a mountain of tips and evidence. The police chief speaking to ABC in his first sit-down interview since the murders.
We're going to provide as many answers as we can.
Authorities maintain this was a targeted and isolated attack, but won't say why they think that.
Part of that investigation is trying to pull the pieces in that will help give us the before, the during, and the after. So we're trained very well. We're also aware when we need to bring in the Idaho State Police and the FBI or ATF.
With a multi-agency effort underway, police asking the community for patience as they work to find the person responsible.
When we do, it'll be one of those days that a lot of relief will come to our community.
And he promises not to let this case go cold. Investigators tell ABC News one victim made several comments to friends and family about a possible stalker. The police chief says detectives are looking into that. Rita Roy, ABC News, New York.
ABC 7 is the source. As you hear there at the end of this commentary, one of the young ladies, I believe it was Kaylee, told her father of a stalker, but obviously did not give him details. Because naturally, if I don't know anything about the person, what can I tell you? If they're just a passerby, was it somebody that was coming into the restaurant where she worked, where she shopped, following down the street, walking by the house a lot? What are we saying? So you can't really tell a person anything if you don't know anything. But maybe she noticed that when she went places, this person popped up, or wherever she was, they came in often. What is the situation? Do the police believe this stalker rendition? So far, we haven't heard any information on the stalker. And I don't think you're going to get any information on anything. A motive, a stalker, nothing. Suspect, nothing. Who they think did it, you're not going to get nothing. The only thing they've released is the type of weapon used, which some people believe they shouldn't have said that. Because now we have to worry about the killer disposing of the weapon. Why would he keep it now that you told what type of weapon he had? The fact that these apartments are so close to the house. I do not care for apartments near a house. I don't even like the way these houses are situated. They're all jumbled up together, all made in different directions. It's no unification the way the houses are made in this general area. Because as you can see, it's kind of hilly, this area where all these houses are tucked in and apartments are tucked in. I personally wouldn't want a house by no damn apartment complex, especially knowing they're going to be college students living in the apartment buildings. No, thank you. So that was a turnoff to me when I saw the building sitting up to the right of the house. Behind the house, there's an apartment building up on a hill. Why would I want to be in a house? Especially if I was somebody who wasn't a college student and I wanted to have privacy. I definitely would not want apartment building near my house, but to each its own. Let's get on with the next commentary. Thank you so much. ABC 7 was the source of that information. Were they targeted? I don't know. They're changing it now. So I've brought you information pertaining to them backtracking by Fox News. Were they targeted? ABC 7. Police chief speaks about quadruple murder of University of Idaho students. ABC News is the source. I was kind of confused at this information because I didn't understand if this was a new interview or an old one. But here he doesn't say anything about it being targeted, so that would lead me to believe that this is a new interview. What is really going on with this investigation with Moscow? What do you know about the killer? Do you know anything? Are you just backtracking because the father is talking too much? What is the deal? Are they even talking to Mr. Goncalves? Is there a rapport between Moscow, police department and this man? Because I got a funny feeling things are not good between the two. Because he already has given commentary that he's not getting updates. So now that he's talked to the public, sir, you probably aren't going to be getting anything from them. Because they're going to know you're not the person they can talk to because you're going to go run to the news and talk. So is it a good idea that the father is talking to the news about anything that they told him? Because maybe they didn't want people to know that one was targeted. Maybe they just wanted to say it was a targeted crime, but not specifically one victim. I beg your pardon, Lana, what do you mean? Fashion statement. I don't understand what you're saying. Let me do my commentary, please. Lord have mercy. And that's interesting that Nancy Grace has this information, but yet the police hasn't said anything about evidence. Don't you find that interesting? Outsiders are talking about evidence and this and that, but the police haven't told us anything.
Of those 4 University of Idaho students, the community gathered to mourn them in an emotional vigil last night as the Moscow police chief spoke to Kana Whitworth in his first sit-down interview. Good morning, Kana.
Robin, good morning. You know, as the father of college-age students himself, and like many on the force, a graduate of the University of Idaho, these homicides have stunned the department and the community. They gathered for the first time last night, filling the football stadium to honor these victims and hear from their families. Overnight vigils held across the state of Idaho, mourning the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students brutally murdered in their off-campus home. For the first time, Madison Moken's father speaking out about his daughter.
When I would meet people, ever since she was first born, and the first thing I'd say is, well, I have this daughter, and she works hard, and she has all these great friends in the sorority.
The murderer still on the loose, while authorities maintain this was a targeted and isolated attack without saying why. The reason why you believe it was targeted, or the reasons, are so crucial to the investigation that they cannot be revealed.
And we are not going to reveal that. That's part of that investigation, trying to pull the pieces in that will help give us the before, the during, and the after.
In his first sit-down interview, Police Chief James Fry emotional about the toll this has taken on the community. Do you believe that you were prepared to handle something like this?
So we're trained very well. We're also aware when we need to bring in the Idaho State Police and the FBI or ATF.
Now a multi-agency effort underway, investigators analyzing a mountain of evidence, but divulging no clear leads in nearly 3 weeks. There is no secrets in a small town. How is this
Exactly.
secret?
That's why we're going to continue to push through this investigation until we can uncover that secret. And when we do, it'll be one of those days that a lot of relief will come to our community.
Patience, hard thing to ask for of families desperate for answers. The community and the family members really want some assurances from you.
What I can offer is that we are going to work continuously, and we're going to provide as many answers as we can.
Now, when I asked the chief about this case being in its 3rd week, he called that surreal. But he did go on to say they will not allow this case to go cold.
But in the meantime, as you pointed out, still so much fear and concern in that community. All right, Kana, thank you.
ABC News is the source. So this reporter has spoken with the chief of police, and in this little short interview given, or to my knowledge, he was asked, are they prepared? Were they prepared? He says they were trained. My thing is, what about the next time somebody decides to cut up some people, shoot up some people, or shoot a person? Will you be prepared to solve the next homicide case, or plural? You haven't had a murder in 7 years, allegedly. So what about the next time? Are you going to always have to go call an outside agency, state police, and or FBI to help you with your investigation? She mentions also secrets in the town. No secrets. Naturally. This is a small town. 25,000 is very small. People talk. As we've learned in the case of I've brought you pertaining to an older gentleman who was shot in Anderson County, Tennessee. Rumors were circulating soon as the man lay dead. Rumors that people went in and stole things out of his house. Still, TBI is investigating this homicide of Frederick Black. Gossip of who killed him. Allegedly, he's denied killing the man through a personal source that I know of. But he has not been arrested. And this is a town of about 30,000 people. So this should tell you something. People talk. But who's going to say, yeah, I saw him do it. I saw her, them, they do it. Because people fear retaliation. In case the person is known to have constituents, cohorts. I don't want them coming after me. Is this more than one perpetrator? Suspect is known in the group. It is odd that you're retracting, because let's keep it real. What if indeed this is a random account and the perpetrator didn't know about the girls in the basement? So then that means the two girls got off scot-free. Luck of the draw. Imagine that. Or if it's an inside job of knowledge of people in the house and know the girls, they didn't kill the two for a reason. Could that be it? So you don't know. Was this a random crime? Oh my God. Every time I go live. Is this a random crime? Somebody just knew that some girls were there and they took a chance to go there. Robbery attempt. Thought the girls had nice things. One just bought a new car. I meant to mention that in my live yesterday, but I mentioned it the day before. Miss Kaylee just purchased a new Range Rover 2 days before her death. Does the car have anything to do with it? You see a car sitting in a driveway, drive out tag, you're going to assume the person has some money. Then one is going to ask, how does a college student afford a Range Rover? What is the year of the Range Rover? Does this Range Rover have anything to do with any type of jealousy, envy? It's also my understanding that she was going to be leaving next year to go off into the world and work. She had already been hired, I believe, for a job. Or interview for a job. So was this an issue of jealousy of Miss Kaylee or Maddie or Ethan or Xana? Very interesting. A lot of rhetoric and gossip pertaining to he said, she said. You know I don't participate in that. So I don't give any commentary on any gossip. And the police aren't telling you anything. And there's been some issues from other channels I've watched about people running around the town, making phone calls to 911 about men in masks, this and that. Well, obviously the police don't care. How about that? They didn't find it anything worth making a report about it. So that should tell you about what's going on in the town, perhaps. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they just don't care. 25,000 people, no suspect, no motive. What's the truth? As this reporter said, how could it be a secret? I agree. How could it be a secret? But there are many crimes that have taken place in America in rural counties, towns, and the suspects were never apprehended. And it's worse when a person lives in desolate places such as the middle of nowhere. The nearest police station is 20, 30 minutes. The nearest doctor's office is an hour. The person has time to stalk, gawk, have their way with the victims, rob the victims, disappear into the night, the morning, and nobody knows anything, has seen anything because you're out in the middle of anywhere. That's why I don't care for rural towns, because they're a playground for people to come and rob you. ABC was the source of that said information. Thank you for joining me. So were they targeted? They talked to the chief. They're working diligently on the case. Some may question this. News Nation is the next source. Idaho deaths. Police now say victims may not have been targeted. Thank you for joining me. What is the truth? Tactical move to keep down rumors and the father and people from talking, or these deaths were targeted and they know who the target was or targets.
Investigation into the murders of 4 Idaho college students.
Yeah, this case is just mind-blowing. A prosecutor's office initially saying that the 4 friends were, quote, undoubtedly targeted, but this morning police are reversing course. Right now, the University of Idaho is on edge after that emotional vigil. Look at that, all the lights honoring those 4 victims. News Nation senior correspondent Brian Enton joining us live from Idaho this morning. Brian, you were at the vigil last night. You've been on the ground for days talking to all kinds of folks, investigators, students, and school staff. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Adrian, it really hit home at the vigil. You know, we've been focused so much on the investigation, but last night you just saw the pain in people's faces, and the families were there and they spoke, and you heard what they were going through, losing beautiful young people who had such bright futures ahead of them. And then this continued nightmare that this community and these families are living because this killer is still on the run. Parents sharing what they know of their last child's moments. Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonsalves, inseparable since middle school.
So then they went to high school together. Then they started looking at colleges. They came here together. They eventually get into the same apartment together. And in the end, they died together in the same room, in the same bed.
Despite their grief, loved ones of the murdered students still shared hopeful messages.
Thank all the people working on trying to figure this out. And it really means a lot.
This as conflicting reports are released among top officials. Police sharing early on in the investigation that the attack was targeted, but they've not shared why they believe that to be the case. Even further, the Moscow Police Department has now publicly corrected information given by the prosecutor's office, who had stated that the suspect had specifically targeted the home and 1 or more of the students inside. Detectives now clarifying they do not know if the residents or any of the victims were specifically targeted. One question looming on the minds of some, could the killer have been in the crowd last night?
Exactly.
Students worry whether they're truly safe. What do you say to the students who are scared?
I tell them I'm scared too. This is a worrying time.
It's been confusing following this, Adrian and Mitch, because there has been mixed messaging from the prosecutor and from police. They acknowledged yesterday that there was an internal miscommunication, but one thing is clear, they say. They have no suspect and they have no persons of interest at this point. It has now been about 2.5 weeks since the murders.
So with that being said, where do they go from here? Is this becoming a cold case?
Well, that's really the fear in this community. They don't like saying that. They say no. They are still getting hundreds of tips pretty much every single day. The tips are still coming in. They're hopeful they'll be able to solve this. But again, they are open about the fact that there's no known suspect.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
News Nation is the source. Thank you, Brian Enton, now working on this investigation as reporting the news. Thank you so much for your hard work and all your cases and bringing us the information. Police now say victims may not have been targeted. So first you have the district attorney saying that they were. Detectives are now saying no. Police saying there was a miscommunication. So what was the miscommunication? Because the detectives are the ones investigating. They're the ones that take the information to the district attorney's office. The district attorney doesn't know any more than what he's told. So what's the problem? Are you all retracting this as a tactical move to try to keep information at bay because you feel like you, one, misspoke, or the father is talking too much? Mr. Goncalves, no disrespect to him, but he is talking. What is the truth? No suspects, no profile that we know of, no persons of interest. Is this factual information or to keep gossip, rhetoric, innuendos, speculations down by family members and whomever else that wants to talk to the news and social media platforms? As I've told you all who are following my channel, I do not have an opinion pertaining to the deaths of these children. I do not have a suspect, and I do not have a theory nor motive due to the fact that I don't know these kids. I don't know anything about what they were doing, not doing. I don't know their friends. I don't know their family. I don't know the neighbors. I don't know who they talked to at the school, what they did at work. I don't know anything. So therefore, I'm not speculating on anything. I will debunk any theory as I do as far as deduction, reasoning, and logic. But in the end, this is an illogical situation because they were murdered, and 9 times out of 10 for something petty. Who is the suspect? What is the motive? Is this a targeted crime? 1 target, 2 target, 3 target, 4 targets, no target, random. What is the truth? Thank you all so much for joining me. Are you all going to keep going on and on about the 911 calls? What's the problem down in the chat? What is the problem? Has it not dawned on any of you, if they want to tell you something in relations to this case, they will mention it. So it's up to you to interpret if you believe these people know what they're doing or don't know what they're doing. If they want to bring information to you about any suspect, any 911 calls, any masked intruders, anybody banging on doors, don't you think they would say something? They've already debunked 2 murders in Oregon and Washington, and they have told you nothing about anybody in the town playing games. Obviously, they don't want to mention it or they don't care. Take your pick. Hold on 1 second, you guys. All right. Let's see what else we have here. This is a bad situation out there in Idaho. The children need to know something. The people in the community need to know something. Because where's this going to go? I'm going to read you an article. They ain't going to stay. They're out of here. You don't come in this chat questioning anything because nobody asked you to come in here. If you read the title of the video, it'll tell you what the topic is about. I see right now I have a problem here in the chat. Newsweek is my last source of information. If you'd like to hit the link to give your opinion on this new retraction by the police department in Moscow, no suspect, no profile, no information, no evidence revealed, feel free to hit the link. Police still don't know who brutally killed 4 University of Idaho students, and after Over 2 weeks since the quadruple homicide, police are collecting more evidence. Madison Mogan, 21, Xana Kernodle, 20, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, and Ethan Chapin, 20, were found dead in their beds in a rental house off campus in Moscow, Idaho, on November 13th. Mogan, Kernodle, and Goncalves were housemates, and Chapin was Kernodle's boyfriend. 5 girls lived in the house, and Court TV reporter Chanley Painter said police are continuing to keep many of the investigation's details quiet, even as they planned on Tuesday to seize 5 cars parked outside. Sorry about that. Jumped off of there. Parked outside the house since the night of the murders. Police have started receiving results from evidence sent to a state crime lab. Although the results haven't led them to identifying a suspect yet, only some of the tests have come back at this time. It's been very critical behind the scenes in helping them narrow it down to identifying the suspect, Painter said of the lab results. Police may search for more evidence. After seizing the cars parked outside of the house, Painter said police won't release any details on who owns the cars or if they belong to the girls living in the house. The cars consist of 2 sedans, 1 white and 1 blue, a Jeep Wrangler, a Ford Explorer, and a Range Rover. Okay. So one could use deduction about who owns the cars. Naturally, would have to be the 2 living survivors and the decedents, I would assume. Possibly they process the living people's cars first because they'll be the ones in need of their cars and need to use their cars. So I would assume they probably process those cars first. And many of you are probably wondering why it took so long to get the cars processed enough into a secure location for further evidentiary testing. It's also snowed, weather. Don't know if that would wear any bearing on fingerprints, anybody leaning up against a car or standing by a car. I don't know. Painter confirmed that police have already searched all 5 cars, but will return to collect them and tow them to an undisclosed location to further process them and forensically analyze the vehicles. The cars will then be stored long term. Very interesting. So now how are the other 2 living girls going to be able to drive around town without a car? Take care of personal businesses. So guess they'll have to Uber now. Interesting. I will repeat that. All 5 cars have been searched, but will return to collect them, which they've already done, and take them to an undisclosed location to further process them and forensically analyze the vehicles. The cars will then be stored long term. Wow, what a mess. A police spokesperson wouldn't confirm whether, keep jumping off of here for some reason. Touchscreens, new technology. So much for the flip phones. Let me finish the end of this sentence. Okay. Once again, the cars are going to be stored long term. A police spokesperson wouldn't confirm whether any of the victims owned the cars. Police have already interviewed hundreds of people, but the number of interviews is seeing an uptick, according to Painter. As students return to campus after Thanksgiving break, more are coming forward to participate in interviews with the police about the investigation. One piece of the investigation, Painter said, police are still trying to learn more about is a gap in the time between when Kernodle and Chapin left a party at Chapin's fraternity, Sigma Chi, and when they arrived back home. The couple allegedly left the party around 9 November 12th, but didn't arrive home until 1:45 a.m. November 13th. Painter said police don't know what occurred during that gap and are continuing to interview students who live at Sigma Chi or were attending the party for more information. So, some things have come back from the lab pertaining to this investigation. What has come back? What data has come back as far as phones, pings, searches, Google searches, apps, conversations, text messages, incoming calls, outgoing calls, drop calls, text messages received, not received, drafts. What has come back as far as data on all living persons' phones, the 2 roommates and the decedents and anybody that was talking and corresponding with them. Okay? All cars are now at a long-term storage for evidentiary testing. Going to be a bad situation for the two girls who are living, because now that means they don't have a car. As I said, I would assume they would check their cars first since they are living, and so they can get their cars back. But now we hear all 5 are stored at a facility for testing. Who is our perpetrator? Who is the killer? Random or targeted? If indeed they're lying to us about it being targeted, who is our target? 1, 2, 3, 4. Misidentification. When you look at the 2 blondes, Kaylee and Maddie, they both seem to like to wear eyelashes. So when you put those eyelashes on, blonde hair, long, who's to say that somebody didn't get them mixed up if it was a target? You're going room to room looking for your victim, your prey, if we are to believe this is intentional. Because one can say, well, how could it be not? They killed all 4. I don't know. I don't know the reason behind the deaths. I know it's ridiculous, but I'm not the killer. The point is the 2 girls could eerily pass for sisters unless you up close and really knew them, personally, to see differences in facial features. But looking at them from just pictures on TV, one could say it would be easy for somebody to get them mixed up. Stay with me now. Stay with me. What is really going on in this investigation? Did the persons want just one, but killed the rest as collateral damage? Hold on 1 second, you guys. 1 second, please. All right, thank you. Was one of the girls the target? Did Kaylee have a stalker? Is this random? Somebody just saw some pretty girls, decided to play funny games with them. If it's random, then that means the killer missed the 2 on the bottom floor. How about that? Or if it was targeted just for the 3 or the 2 or the 1, why didn't they go to the bottom floor where the other girls were, or they were too lazy to go snoop around some more? What are we talking about? Because if somebody has knowledge of this house and the inside and the layout, then they know that there's a basement and they know that there are rooms down there. Checkmate. If you have commentary you'd like to bring to this network pertaining to this new information of this not being a targeted crime, please hit the link. If not, I will check out of here. Thank you for your time. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeganJ129 Cash App, all stickers, chat to welcome during the live. Happy holidays to the viewing audience. Thank you. Oh, Lordy. I'm starting to question why I do these videos. I really am. Well, that's the gist of the story. I don't have any more information to play. If you have anything you'd like to say, you can feel free to come up here and hit the link, give your commentary. Obviously, nobody has any commentary. I don't know. I do not know where this investigation is going, but it doesn't look good. Hopefully they know more than they are revealing to the general public, because it will be very sad and pathetic if they don't have anything. But naturally, you can't make something be that isn't there. You can't just make up a suspect as to appease the general audience. The link is dropped in the chat. If you have something you'd like to say pertaining to the deaths of these individuals and the retraction of the targeted murders, feel free to give your fingers a rest from typing in the chat and hit the link. That is the purpose of the link. I pay for this every month. Just paid today for it, the StreamYard. Make it worth my while. Lord have mercy. Well, that is sad information coming out of Moscow, however you pronounce it. I'm becoming more southern by the minute. Idaho. No suspects, no profile, no evidentiary material mentioned. Change of commentary pertaining to a targeted crime. I don't really have much else to say about this crime, to tell you the truth. Because as I told you all, I do not have a theory. I will not give a theory because I do not know these children to render a theory. Well, Moonrain, you can't look at the evidence because they're not going to give you anything. Well, maybe they don't have anything. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they don't have a suspect, as they said. So there's nowhere to take it if you don't have a suspect. You don't have a suspect. Without a suspect, how are you going to have a motive? The only thing you can show is how brutal the attack was to form a decision if indeed it was targeted or not. Did one of the victims have more stab wounds and mutilations than the others? That is the only way you're going to come up with a theory that one was the reason for the person coming into the house. How did they get in the house? Open window, open door. I just realized in listening to everything, that first floor with the glass door, that is actually the second level, but it meets the ground in the back. The next level, which has the balcony, which to some would think that was the second level, that's actually the third level. That's why I have to really pay attention to what they're saying when they're talking to get an understanding of the layout of the house. I really would like to be inside the house to see how it's laid out. Get a determination of he came in on the second level. Perhaps to him, that was the ground levels. So that would lead me to think perhaps the killer may live in one of those apartments behind. But he still should know that if he's coming around the street every day, that it's a 3-level house. Because you'll see it when you drive by in order to get to the apartments. The cars are sitting on level 1. Next, window 2. Next, windows 3. So then you would know it's 3 levels. But the only person that would assume it's 2 levels is somebody that lived in the back of the property, such as a house that had a view, and they never came down that street to see that that it has 3 levels. Just throwing out a theory. Well, I don't thank you all for your time. Since nobody wants to join me for conversation, I'm going to end this live stream. Maybe I'll pick another topic that will be of interest to some people, since this one is not. You have who told you she had the most wounds? Why are you all passing that gossip? Jesus Christ. What a mess. For those of you who like Christmas movies, the Queen will be starring as an extra in Dolly Parton's new movie, Mount Magic Christmas, with Willie Nelson, Jimmy Fallon, Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus, starring tonight on NBC at 8 p.m. Thank you so much. If you like Christmas movies, please tune in to Mount Magic Christmas, 8 p.m. on NBC tonight, Eastern Standard Time. The Queen is an extra in the movie. I have a stair scene at the top of the stairs that will possibly be at the end of the movie, perhaps, and also a casino scene where I'm sitting front row. Thank you all so very much for your time. God bless all of you. Have a safe holiday. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Be safe when you're shopping. Do not leave parcels out on the seat, the floorboard. Always have your keys ready when you're entering into the parking lot or outside of a store. Wear a crossover bag under a duster or sweater as not to have your purse stolen from you. Be careful in the store shopping. Always get a receipt. Do not go off venturing to places to buy anything in any undisclosed areas, such as hot items or discounted items, as not to be a victim of crime. Do not post your newfound items to social media, as not to end up a victim of a home invasion. Do not put your boxes with your electronic boxes outside at the dumpster or garbage can, as not to show people what you have purchased. And be careful of leaving doors unlocked during the holiday season when inviting guests over, because this is an easy way for a person to just walk in your house because you have people visiting, coming in and out. The door needs to remain locked after each visit. Once again, Mount Magic Christmas, starring Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, and other hosts of movie stars, will be airing tonight on NBC at 8 p.m. The Queen has a role as an extra alongside some newfound friends. I've met some wonderful ladies that I'm now friends with from that scenes that we took. It's hard to explain, but thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for following the content. Many people who follow my content know how I am about certain things. I prefer a receipt when I bring commentary to this channel because I cannot build my content off of lies and gossip and innuendo. And because I refuse to listen at what you're saying, I have that right. Because this is my channel. I built this. And I'm not like any other YouTuber up here. I don't feed into rhetoric. I don't feed into misinformation. If I mispronounce something, say something, I always put a correction in my video. If I misspoke, I put a correction in my video. I don't have any problem with that. But what I will not do is spread lies and rumors on some shit I don't know a damn thing about pertaining to some dead people. Now, if that is the type of content you want to rock with, then you carry your ass somewhere else. Because I'm not putting up with it over here. Until I hear from anybody pertaining to this story about what the fuck happened out there in Idaho, then I will bring you that information. But until then, I don't stand on nothing. That is the reason why these cases are nothing but mockeries of dead people, because some of you like reveling in bullshit. Yeah, I'm going to say it on this live because this might be my last live stream. I'm sick of going live. Because a lot of you come in the chat, you do not take the content seriously. All you do is go from chat to chat, spreading rumors. And I've watched you. And I've watched you all do it for 3 fucking years. And I'm sick of it. And you expect the creator to jump on it because you heard it somewhere. Or, Pookie said it, Ray said it. Such and such said it, which is also disrespectful. To put another YouTuber's name in a YouTuber's chat, it's rude. Because if they don't have a receipt, then you're just passing gossip. When the police department wants to tell me who was stabbed first, second, third, and fourth, who had the most wounds, what was left, what was taken from the scene, then I'll listen and I'll bring you that information. But until then, don't attempt to feed me anything. I'm not interested. Because I am not getting ready to make a mockery out of those kids to entertain your ass. So for the motherfucker that come in here talking about some attitude, you damn Skippy. Now you take that and sit on it. Every live stream is the same when it comes to true crime. I just look at the comments and they just get worse and worse and worse by the minute. Even when the vigil was going on last night, the stuff that some people were saying was just despicable. No fucking respect for the dead. That was not the place to be putting up your speculations and nasty commentary about what you think happened in that house pertaining to the victims during a fucking live stream of a vigil. I'm out. This is Everyday Shenanigans.